Hey, 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 everyone, and welcome back to Strange Minds 6. I'm your host, Ruby, and today we're going to be getting back into the book called Superstitions, a handbook of folklore, myths, and legends from around the world by D.R. McElroy. And last week we actually spoke about voodoo and Santeria gods and goddesses. We spoke about different American mythical monsters, and we even went as far as to show a little bit of pictures from what we could find. Some of the mythical monsters were a little bit harder to find than others. Same thing with the gods and goddesses of voodoo and Santeria. Some were a little bit harder to find, but we tried our very best. So we do hope that you guys liked it. And without further ado, my dear friends, we are going to be getting into this. But first, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're not already, and grab your snack, grab your drinks, or sit back and relax. And let's get to this. American superstitions. A great number of American superstitions are a result of our multicultural heritage. Here are some of them. Knock on wood is said to avert bad luck that results from either talking about a subject that is taboo or from accidentally committing an unlucky act such as spilling the salt shaker. The belief arises from pagan mythology that benevolent spirits live in trees, and that touching the tree lets you tap the kindness of the spirit inside. See a penny? Pick it up. That depends. If it's on heads, then that's lucky. And then if it's on tails, then leave it alone. But I guess this superstition, it says, see a penny, pick it up, and all day you'll have good luck. This quirky superstition is amusing because the rhyme is supposed to be chanted along with the act of picking up the penny. Essentially, this amounts to an invocation spoken to drive away demons that might be thinking about doing you harm. This works with any coin, not just pennies. Be aware, though, that the coin must be facing up. Face down negates the luck. Oh, so it is that. Okay, cool. Bad news or death comes in threes. Holy moly, I was just talking about this with my fiance. So it is said, it is a curious superstition, which means to be most relevant when referring to the deaths of celebrities or other people of note. Rather than the general public, threes are generally considered cosmical balanced. Consider the Christian Trinity or the Hindu Trimurti. So this superstition may be connected to the Fates, mystical demigoddesses of Greek mythology who determine the lifespan of mortals. There are three Fates: Clotho, the spinner of the thread of life; Lachesis, the allotter, who determines the length of the thread; and Atropos, the inflexible, who cuts the thread of life. Beginner's luck is meant to be humbling, with its implication that the successful player in either games of chance or risks in life owes their achievement to some mystical force which cannot be counted on to help his or her success to succeed again. In other words, don't take risks. Play it safe, because next time you will fail. This is very anti-individual, pro-community stance. Wish on a falling star is almost magical. The belief that the death of a celestial body is somehow fortuitous for the earthbound is almost sinful. It likely would have been frowned upon as pagan by the church. Yeah, truth be told, a lot of pagan rituals, traditions, and things that used to be back then, and still some of them are celebrated nowadays, are actually and were actually covered up by the church. For example, Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, was a pagan holiday that was called Samhain, and it was known as New Year's for us. And then there was also just other different holidays that were considered to be wrong when they were just misunderstood. But let's continue. Cross your fingers for luck comes from the belief in the power of the Holy Cross, so crossing your fingers connotes a blessing of sorts on the forthcoming endeavor, even if that endeavor is just an attempt, field goal after a touchdown. Curiously, many children, and no small number of adults, also believe that crossing your fingers, especially when hidden from view, somehow negates any promises you make while those fingers are crossed. It is a way of excusing your intention to lie, despite your promise to behave. Parents, however, do not share equal belief in the crossed finger excuse. Lucky four-leaf clovers is an Irish superstition which stems from their belief that a shamrock with its 3 leaves represents the Holy Trinity, a belief that arose after the introduction of Christianity to Ireland. The shamrock leaves stand for faith, love, and hope, or God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. The 4th leaf, however, stands for luck, and the rarity of the 4th leaf gives the tradition magical status. Number 13 is bad, 7 is good, 666 is deadly, but why? Well, if you believe in that sort, it is said that there were 12 apostles at the Last Supper, unless you count Judas, who betrayed Christ. Judas's betrayal and his status as the 13th apostle was forever cast as the number 13 into the fiery pit of terrible numbers, if you're a Christian. Along in the same lines as 666 is biblical. It is the number of the beast, or the mark of the beast, harrowing the arrival of the Antichrist in Revelations at the end of the New Testament. Here is a call for wisdom. Let the one who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and that number is 666. Revelation 13:18. Notice that the chapter from the book of Revelations that contains this verse is number 13. Seven is lucky. For many reasons, classical astronomy noted 7 celestial bodies that were visible to the unaided eye: the Sun, the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. A number of religions named 7 primary gods to rule these planets: the Greeks and Romans, the Egyptians and the Japanese. The Arabs built 7 holy temples. The Hindus describe 7 chakras. Buddhism describes 7 incarnations of the Buddha. The Old Testament is chock full of sevens. The world was created in 6 days, but 1 day of rest. King Solomon's temple took 7 years to build. The Hebrew Torah describes every 7th year of the Jewish calendar as a holy year. The Kabbalah uses a red string bracelet with 7 knots to ward against the evil eye. 7 seals must be broken in Revelation to bring about Armageddon. There are 7 deadly sins, 7 plagues of Egypt, 7 heavenly virtues, and 7 sacraments. Shiva is sat for 7 days. There are 7 hills of Rome, and 7 seas. There are 7 continents, 7 wonders of the world, 7 colors in the visible spectrum, think rainbow, and 7 musical notes on a scale. And don't forget the 7 dwarfs. Mystically speaking, the 7th son of a 7th son will be a seer, while the 7th daughter of a 7th daughter will be a witch. Hey, and I am one. Mexico and Central America. Mexico's history is long and storied, marked by centuries of indigenous occupation and conquest. First inhabited over 13,000 years ago, it was the same wave of migration over the Bering Land Bridge. If you hear anything in the background, that's my dog eating. She got hungry. But let's continue. It was the same wave of migration over over Bering Land Bridge. After the last ice age was brought what would become Mexico's indigenous population into the region, with many of those people continuing to move south down through Central and South America. A number of advanced civilizations thrived in Mexico and Central America, beginning with the Olmecs. The Olmecs flourished from about 15,000 to about 4,000 BCE, establishing the framework for the other civilizations that would follow them. Olmec religion was based on the action of priests and shamans, and it was dependent on the ruling elite to act as the bridge between the gods and the people. The Olmecs left no written record of their mythology, though it has been discovered that the familiar feathered serpent, and a rain deity were part of the pantheon. The Olmec name for the feathered serpent god is unknown. The Mayans. The next great civilization following the Olmecs was the Maya, with the first of the great Mayan cities rising around 750 BCE and continuing until a major collapse of the system around 900 CE. The collapse did not result in the elimination of the Maya people, but saw instead a shift in the population away from the urban centers such as Tikal in the low-lying jungle areas around Guatemala and Belize, to the drier Yucatan Peninsula of southeastern Mexico. In the Yucatan, the great city of Chichen Itzá was built, and it was dedicated to the feathered serpent, now named Kukulkan. This god had his roots in the earlier pre-collapse Mayan society that was known then as Waxaclacun Ubacan, the war serpent. Again, much of his mythology is unknown. The complex at Chichen Itzá, while amazing, was significantly less grand than those built prior to the Mayan collapse, marked by fewer monumental architectural constructions. One known precept of Mayan mythology was the idea of a divine king. Much like the pharaohs of Egypt, the Mayan king was believed to be descended directly from the gods. This is why the royal bloodline was so important. The blood of gods must remain unsullied from intermingling with the common people, lest the god king lose his power and fail to perform the rituals required to keep Mayan civilization running smoothly. Royalty passed from father to eldest son, and with the power of the gods, major cities such as Chichen Itza had temple pyramids topped by altars where the rituals of bloodletting and human sacrifice took place. The Mesoamerican pantheon, including that of the Maya, evolved from the earliest primitive religions of elemental worship: fire, water, earth, nature. The addition of astral bodies, the sun, moon, planets, and stars, broadened the ideology, as did the introduction of zoomorphic deities. And we are going to leave it off here, my dear friends. The next chapter is going to be Mayan gods and goddesses. And as always, I hope that you all have a grand morning, afternoon, evening, and night, wherever this video may reach you. This has been Ruby, signing off.